you're launching a new consumer app,
Yeah.
you get it into people's hands as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Okay, and what's the category?
Services. So we're trying to get people who want a massage to connect with people who have spas and clinics where they don't have availability.
Yeah.
Or them to take through the app and do the e-commerce exchange and just turn up to get the massage, or have the spa and clinic send the person to where they're located. So
Okay.
using an app to make that happen.
Okay.
I'm not concerned about how to get clinics on, I'm more concerned about how to get consumers.
So it's a two-sided market. You've got clinics on one side and consumers on the other.
I think it's great that you're not worried about getting clinics on site because it makes our job a lot easier. But also, I actually think if they're the easy parts to get on site, then I'd be looking at their networks and the assets that they have first of all. So for every single clinic, you might have one clinic, you might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 12 massage therapists. Every single one of those has assets around their social media networks, where they might have up to 700 to 1,200 followers and friends. Similarly, with each of the massage clinics, it's a good idea to look at what ADMs and assets they already have, their contact strategy, as well as their frequency around those assets. So again, same thinking, you've got a clinic, but off that clinic, there is thousands of members and users. So really what you need to do is make sure that those clinic owners understand the business case for using the app and the incentive for getting it out to their networks. From there, it's really important that you give them tools. So the idea here is that you make it really easy for them to share it with their networks. So a really good example here is like a video explainer. Or better yet, you might build an EDM template that has the right messaging, the right content in it, that's really easy for them to forward and rebrand. So as with all massage clinics, what we find is that they're often owner-operators, very, very time poor, and don't have a lot of money to spend on marketing. So whatever you can do within that network for them to lift the load is going to go a long way. The last one is I'd be looking at incentives within that network as well. So you might have an introductory offer for them or something that makes it more useful for them in that first key period. And the last thing I would consider is there's an app out there called Thunderclap. Now, I'm not actually recommending that you use that. I'm just recommending that you launch all at once with all of your channels going live at once, because there's this thing called effective frequency. And what that means is that if I hear about something once, I'm much less likely to act than if I hear it about 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times, but it's not linear, it's exponential. And so what you want to make sure you're doing is try and line up all of your channels within your social networks, your EDMs, and anything online to go all at once so that people are getting that high frequency. The final one is point of sales throughout all the clinics. Make sure that they've got things in the waiting rooms and at the reception so that when people walk through there, they're getting the offer to use the app.
Okay.
Can I ask you, Ash? I'm going to do stream of consciousness, and I can't scribe while I'm doing that.
Yep.
So if I say anything important, could you capture
I'll
it
make
for
a
me?
note. Perfect.
Okay, so, you know, when I'm out there talking to developers, startups, people are trying to launch consumer apps, they tend to be geeky. You're not a geek, are you? No, you're not a geek. So there's a model that I run in my practice, and people that are launching apps tend to think about technology solutions, and actually it puts them out of balance. So a great futurist 30 years ago wrote a book called Megatrends, and in chapter 2, it was called The High-Tech, High-Touch Balance. Now you run a high-touch business, but you're talking about a high-tech thing. And when you're talking about launching a consumer app, I would think, what will make that in balance? It's very geeky, you know, it's technology. What would put that into balance? So I would think about live events. So recently, I was launching my app, my Craig Rispin iPhone app, at an event, and I gave an incentive. So an incentive live from stage, I gave away $6,000 worth of mentoring. and there were 360 people in the audience, and I said, send a special code in. They just could text me. Send a special code in, and if one of you will win $6,000 worth of mentoring, or you could say 10 massages or something like that, right? So what kind of a return on investment would you expect in a live event like that? You know, maybe 20%, something like that. 360 people in the audience, 357 of them texted me. And this is the power of a live event connected to an app. I was at a startup forum down in Melbourne, 450 startups, Ash, all following this lean startup methodology. And they're saying exactly the same thing. They're launching web apps, they're launching consumer apps. And we went around the room and we said, let's all discuss the best marketing success that we've had launching an app or a web app in the last 12 months. And out of the 450 people, we had more votes for them launching an app or a web app at a live event, So I'll tell you how I run this in my practice. You know, Ash, I get 10 to 20 people that want to connect to me on LinkedIn, and we automatically send back a message. You've seen this message, I'm sure. It says, thank you for connecting to me in a high-tech way on LinkedIn, but wouldn't you like to catch up for a cup of coffee? And people think I'm insane that I'm connecting with all these people on LinkedIn and then wanting to meet them face-to-face. But I'll reveal to you that I get 50% of all my business this way. That if somebody contacts me high-tech through an app, I always go high-touch. And if they contact me high-touch, then I want to connect them to a high-tech experience.
So the first thing I would mention there is looking to the fact that, do you really need an app? Because the way you described it and what I heard was just a simple transaction. And out of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of apps that are now in the App Store and in the Android store, the question is how many are really downloaded and coming through, and how many are then subsequently reopened? So rather than thinking about an app, maybe you might just like to think of the simpler answer of data capture. So if you have data capture, then you can just push them through a sophisticated management system, such as a CRM, go out via email, go out via SMS, and actually track a wellness path, if that makes sense. So rather sidestep the app and actually say, can I input a journey of relaxation, a journey of wellness? And instead of thinking in terms of app, think in terms of CRM. That's the first thing. Ask your question, is there a red ocean trying to cut through in that mess? The second thing that I would look at is there an existing app that is cutting through that you can just bolt on and integrate with? If you look at Night Plus, if you look at Fitbit, one deal with one of those guys makes this problem of consumers go away. It also ties into what we call the trigger. The reason apps don't get open is they don't have a trigger. If you actually linked in with Night Plus, for example, you've just hit your goal, reward yourself with a massage. You see, finding something that already has that behavior and that connection with people and then tapping in could be a great access point for there. Looking there in terms of point of difference, something remarkable. What about if your app was called Uber Massage, yeah? And you actually had something that's called a 5-minute freak down. You use geo-targeting if this is an angel in the area. If there's a massage person in the area, they offer a 5-minute freak down. Now that's actually, you know, there's always the on-sell off the back of it, but something remarkable that actually has a reason for an app to be on a standard transaction gives you a real point of difference. And then 4, actually looking and tying in what both the guys have said, looking at this this high-touch live event thing, in terms of spas and clinics, making sure there's a Wi-Fi distribution. What if your app was the Wi-Fi gateway? Yeah, if it was called Access Spa or Access Clinic, and you actually tied in a deal with somebody who's providing Wi-Fi services, and the first thing you do is download the app on the Wi-Fi system to get onto it to access your personal system. So there's some thoughts there. Keeps you like your
And look, just 45 seconds left. 2 things I would try. Make sure that you've got shareability working on it. If you look at what people are sharing online, it is travel, it is food, it's moments for me, it is opulence, and it's hedonistic, and you fit within that category. So make sure that's easy to do. The last one is a mate of mine that sells Swiss watches. He gets them overseas and has better rates, and he just got asked to do a whole deal for Hawthorn so that they could celebrate their premiership win. Now, he was just going to service them, and I said, get the photos, get the story, get the testimonial. So find someone or a group or something high profile so that you can give your services away and create a story around it that's shareable within these networks.
So, the essence is being partnerships. Okay, first question. So, everybody up. Is that the place of light or the place of darkness? So everybody up, keep loading in 3, 2, 1. Pass, pass, pass. That's a pass. Thank you. Right.